to go within, to that heaven within. It's our time. So really to ground ourselves in the truth that we know, that we really do know on some level of our being, but there is a power for good, and it truly is within each and every one of us. Nobody is ever left out. This is our eternal self. So it is that which knows. Even when we're in this human space, we might forget. That indwelling intelligence, it absolutely knows. And we're going to really by grounding ourselves in this truth, we enliven our lives, empowering our dreams, and fulfilling our heart's desires. And so far this month, we've talked about the big picture, or the universal side of spirit. And today we're going to personalize it. We're going to get a little more personal. It's time to rock and roll really means to let God rock in us. Let God rock in us. Because God rocks only when we rock. We are expressions, right, of that rocking presence of God. So it is my desire, my goal, my intention today to help all of us continue to remember and to live from that place of knowing who we are, who we really, really, really are. In 1893, Swami Vivekananda, a Hindu master, arrived in Chicago, and he spoke at the very first Parliament of World Religions. And he was the first Hindu ever to address an American public, which is pretty cool. And what he said was shocking to many. In fact, he was regarded as blasphemous for this message that he gave. Vivekananda told the story of a lion who had been raised by sheep. A whole flock of sheep had raised him. He was a lion, right? And naturally, he thought he was one of them. And another lion came along to let him know that he was really a lion. But this sheep lion was not at all convinced of that until the other lion took him to a pool, and he saw his reflection. And then Vivekananda, this is what shocked people, told the audience, "And you, my friends, are all lions. You are pure, infinite, and perfect souls. He for whom you have been weeping and praying in churches and temples is your own self." And that totally blew people away. Jesus said, "Know ye not that ye are gods?" In a great passage from The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, he tells us not only who we are, but how to express it. So I'm going to read that to you. This is really good. He says, "We are the threefold principle of life and action. We are spirit, soul, and body. From the spirit, we receive inspiration and guidance. In the soul, we find a perfect law of life. And through the body, we prove that we are real individualizations of the invisible principle." Now that's the who we are part. And this is how we express it part. Our minds should swing from inspiration to action, from contemplation to accomplishment, from prayer to performance. And let us feel that our purposes are animated and inspired from on high. And then he continues. And then let us go forth and make our dreams come true in human experience, with an invisible intelligence to guide and an immutable law to direct. Let us take our place in any legitimate activity, and thus cause our dreams to come to full fruition. God is more fully expressed when we are more fully expressed. God rocks when we rock. It's all about the movement. We are expressions, individualizations of this great one. So we're functioning perfectly when we're in line with our natural state of being. And I want to talk to you today about not settling for a life of struggle and strife. Makes me think of that song, right? But really, not settling for a life of struggle and strife. About deliberately intending to live as God wants us to live. Having a big vision for ourselves. Last month, we did the whole month on holding the high vision. And not coming from here, remember I was doing my thing, not coming from here to get to the vision, but coming from the vision and pulling up our vibration to match our vision. So that's what we're talking about here, about not settling. Thomas Edison said, if we did all the things that we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. It's been said, this is cool, I like Walt Disney. If you've ever read his biography, he's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant man. But even on his deathbed, he wanted to talk about his vision for the upcoming Disney World. Even on his deathbed, he knew it. He knew that even as his life was drawing to a close, that he still was planning the bigger vision, still planning the bigger vision. He was reaching for something higher, which is, it is our inherent nature to expand. When we believe in ourselves, when we trust ourselves, we can expand, reaching for that higher vision. And there are, at times, obstacles, challenges before us when we decide to really, really, really step out and rock and roll, to live as God intended us to live. Sometimes there appears to be obstacles and challenges to overcome, and fear being probably the number one. Sometimes we get a little bit afraid, like the little boy who was afraid of the dark. One night his mother told him to go out onto the dark porch to get a broom, and the little boy was terrified and said, "Mama, I don't like the dark. I'm afraid to go out there." And the mother smiled reassuringly at her son, and she said, "You don't have to be afraid of the dark. Jesus is out there. He'll look after you and protect you." The little boy looked at his mother real hard and asked, "Are you sure he's out there?" "Yes, I'm sure he's everywhere. He's everywhere." And the little boy cracked the door a little bit, and he reached out, he looked out into the darkness, and he called, "Jesus, if you're out there, would you please bring me the broom?" We are afraid, as Ernest Holmes has said, we are afraid to move, to swing from inspiration to action. You ever get a real inspiring idea that you get all charged up about, but then we let the mind chatter hold us back and we don't do it? The inspiration to action. Always. From contemplation to accomplishment. From prayer, always from prayer to performance. Prayer is an activity, by the way. It is an absolute activity in law. It moves things. It manifests. It moves us right into performance. But really, what is there to really, truly fear? The fear is within us. It is within us. Because there really isn't anything to fear. It's the fear, the feeling of fear that is almost triggered in our DNA that comes up. And another thing, we could think that we don't know. We don't know how to live our dreams. We don't know how to express God in its fullest. We don't think we even know where we are going. And that's the trust part. That's the stepping out in blind faith part. That's the part of knowing that if you're inspired and you have a dream and you know what the dream is, you let the universe take care of the how to bring it about. Because you can't possibly know the how. And it's much better as I've said before, when you don't get involved in the how, when you let this intelligence bring about the hows, because it outpictures tremendously anything we could plan for ourselves. We just have the vision and move in the direction the vision is pulling us in. We are like Albert Einstein, who was once traveling. I have a little story about Albert Einstein. Was traveling on a train from Princeton. When the conductor came down the aisle and he was punching the tickets, and Einstein looked in his vest pocket and he didn't have his ticket, and he looked in his pants pocket and he couldn't find the ticket, and he's looking in his briefcase, the ticket wasn't there. He's looking on the seat next to him, no ticket. The conductor said, "Dr. Einstein, I know who you are. I know who you are. It's okay. You don't need your ticket. I trust that you bought a ticket." Einstein nodded appreciatively, and the conductor continued down the aisle punching everyone else's ticket, and just as he was getting ready to go into the next car, he saw this famous physicist on his hands and knees looking under the seat for his ticket. And the conductor rushed back and he said, Dr. Einstein, don't worry. I know that you bought that ticket. I just know that you bought that ticket." And Einstein looked at him and said, "Young man, I too know who I am. I just want to know where I'm going." So we're a lot like Einstein. See how we're all one? We don't always know where we're going, but hold the vision and trust that there's a power that will guide you. And I'm here to tell you this morning that you might not know where you might think you don't know where you're going, but I know that you do, because there is an inherent intelligence within each and every one of us that really does know our highest good. It really does. And for us is to get in touch with it, to communicate with it through meditation, through prayer work, to really get in contact with it. Because it will pull us. It's this divine nudge, and it will pull us. But we must listen to it, and we must trust. We must trust in what our heart, our mind, our body is telling us to do. Pain. There is one more thing that can stand in the way of our fully expressing the divinity that we truly are, of living our dreams, our beautiful dreams, of rocking and rolling. If we are in pain, and it could be physical, emotional, mental pain, it's pretty hard to remember that we are lions, that we are meant to live a dream of this greatness when we are in pain. And we're just trying to make it through the next few minutes. It's a challenge. It's a challenge a lot of people have. And most of us go in and out of that challenge at some point in our lives. We all go through this experience of emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain. We all go through it. But going through it is part of our evolution, and reaching out and asking others for help. Prayer when you need it. Pick up your phone, call a practitioner, call a friend. Go to a different modality. People do all kinds of healing work. Healing is there for us. It's a matter of choice to go out and ask for it. Always, always, always remember that no matter what your problem is, the answer lies within. The problem always comes in with the answer. There is a solution. There is a solution for every seeming problem. Because what is a problem? It's an effect. It's an effect from a cause that we had. That's what it is. It's an effect. So in that knowing, there is always a solution. Be in the solution. Look for the solution. It's always there. It's present. And the doorway to the divine is within us. It's within us. It's not outside. Remember heaven, H? It's not outside. Heaven is not outside. It's inside. So the more we go inside and do the work on our indwelling self, that's when we open the door to the greatest good we could ever experience, because that's where the divine is. The Apostle Paul tells us to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. And this simply means to turn away from conditions and touch the spiritual resources that are within us. To turn away from which can be challenging at times. When you have a condition that's in your face, it can be very challenging. But we do have that power, because within us there is an innate intelligence that knows all. When we are absent from the body, when we get our minds off of the appearance, we become attuned to a more divine level of ourselves. And God's power manifests through us. And like I said, if you can't do that for yourself, it's okay. I call up my practitioners. I need a prayer. I'm the first one to go on the phone. Go upstairs, close my door. I get on the phone and I ask for prayer. And Reverend Jessica usually answers. She gives me prayer. She always answers. Or else I'll text her. I'll find her, Cooper Hospital or not. I'll find her. Because I do ask. I do ask. And so whether it is fear, pain, or not knowing that it is an obstacle in our way, we are given a profound promise. I read it last week. I want to just repeat it again. It's in the Bible from Isaiah. They that shall wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. We wait upon a lot of things in this world. We wait upon the cable guy. We wait upon the right relationship to come around. We wait upon the right job to open up for us. We even wait for the right weather before we can do something. We wait on everything except the Lord. We invest our power in things that were never meant to have power over us. That's what we do. All of us. Well, maybe there's a few really truly enlightened souls that don't, but we give things power, but that should not have power over us. And to really wait upon the Lord is simply to know and act. Act as if you are already in your vision. You are already a perfect expression of the divine. And to know that this divinity lives, moves, and has its being in and as each one of us. This is the truth. This is the truth for us to remember. To wait on the Lord means to take time to be still, to go within, to connect, to remember, and to ask for the guidance of Spirit, because you'll get it. You will get it. To feel the rightness of an activity. You ever feel that you have an activity and it just feels right? And that means that take some action. Follow it. Follow it. This is how Spirit communicates with us. And when that guidance is felt, to allow our enthusiasm to pull us into the greater expression of living our lives. And to remember Ernest Holmes' words, our mind should swing from inspiration to action, from contemplation to accomplishment, from prayer to performance. And it may seem sometimes that we are guided and inspired. What we are guided and inspired to do is not really going to take us to where we think we want to go. This is where the faith comes in. Consciously knowing where you are going, but you have this inner nudge that is, you might be thinking, this is what I want, but then this indwelling guidance is pulling you into a different direction that feels right, that feels good. And so it's our task then to pay attention to that, and to maybe just follow it, little steps, just follow it. Because the greater vision is always there waiting for us. So on the path of letting God be God in you, remember, you are following the inner nudges, that pulling, those inner guidance, you know, that comes forth and says, use me, do this, and following it. To take action, to really rock and roll, because this whole month, it's a catch on words, but as Barry said, rock is so, it's all over the Bible, it's all over spiritual work, it's our earth is a rock. Everything is that foundation. It looks solid, but it's all molecules moving, it's all God in action, it's all divine energy. Those rocks are all energy. And I say it's time for us, really, to step out of our smallness, to step into that idea that we really are great co-creators. We are great co-creators if we believe it, if we trust in it, if we fully want to live our lives, truly. So it's time to release the fear, to release the pain, to release the not knowing what it is, and to move into a place where we can lay, I talked last week about the rocks of growth. We can lay those big rocks down, because what I spoke about is when I had a container, I had a visual. When we fill our container with all the gravel and the pebbles and the small rocks first, there is no room for the larger rocks of growth. There's no room. So those little pebbles and that gravel and all that stuff are just our smaller ideas. And so we need to clear them out to make room for the larger rocks of growth that are waiting to take place in our lives. Remember, God is more fully expressed when we are more fully expressed. When we are more fully expressed. We're all part of this creative process. God rocks when we rock. And so let us know what our vision is. And let us live from our vision, from that place. Because I really do believe it's time to start rocking and rolling in life for each and every one of us.